So I just wanted to give an update of basically what I'm thinking. I mean, this is not a teaching. I haven't done a teaching for a while because I'm just getting adjusted, you know, not only with the job but where I live. And pretty soon I was informed that I guess everyone has to leave this house because the owners are coming back. And I was asked if I wanted to go with them. And of course, that's my only option. So I told him that I would, but you know, my mother, I'm living my life, working, doing what I have to do. I'm happy to have my son on the weekends, and I just find that when he leaves, that I feel lonely. I miss him, but I'm thinking about why I'm still dealing with the shock of my mother's passing. And I think it's the fact that everything happened so quickly that, I mean, it seemed like yesterday that my mom and I were on a trip to Seattle to see my cousin. We spent, I think, a week or a couple of weeks there, and everything was fine. And then we returned in July. I think I don't know, it might have been a week, or I don't know if it was a couple of weeks or a month, but um, we returned and a little time passed. I resumed my job because I had to work to pay my car insurance and phone. And mom had her diagnosis, results of her biopsy, but that morning she had a hard time speaking. And the doctor said that this was a significant change than what she'd seen last time. And then to find out she had stage 4 cancer. And then she declined, and then she passed away. And I'm like, all this happened within a couple of months of returning from Seattle. And it's like being on a roller coaster and you don't have time to prepare yourself. It's like that movie, Officer and a Gentleman. And each of them were in this contraption that goes down in the water and then it flips over. And then, they were told that you become disoriented when you're upside down. And many of them were able to undo their seatbelt, but many of them didn't. And one guy in particular, he was all scared. He's sweating and he didn't want to go. He was afraid. But he got in there and you can tell that he wasn't ready because they were asking for a thumbs up. He gave his thumbs up, but you can tell he was not ready while he was doing it. And he went down into the water, the thing flipped, and then he started panicking. And he went, a frogman jumped in to help him. But out of panic, he was pulling the frogman's oxygen tube off him from the tank. And the oxygen, the frogman needed help out of the water. So the sergeant jumps in there, pulls both of them out, gives resuscitation to the guy that was afraid. And then, of course, he gets a DOR and he's not allowed to return. But in the same way, I felt unprepared with my mother's passing. And here I'm having conflicting emotions. Here on one side, I know God can heal. And on the other, I was dealing with the fear of her passing. And that was something that I was always afraid of, losing my mother. I didn't want to lose her, and uh, of course I live my life, I'm working, but to this day, I'm still dealing with the fact of her passing and how quickly things happened. And I look to to my right, and I no longer see her in the car with me. I am no longer with her. She's in heaven. And it's hard because it seemed like yesterday we were traveling on the plane to Seattle to see my cousin. And she was like a little girl, flying in the plane for the first time. She was looking at the mountains and she was completely astounded. And she was telling everyone on the plane, look at the beautiful sight. And they were probably like, oh, lady, get a grip. But mom was seeing things like a little girl. And that was something that brought her joy. It's hard. And I told my therapist about this. So just dealing with how quickly things have happened. And just the sad fact that I no longer have her here with me anymore. And adjusting with that. And, I know she's in heaven. I know she's happy. And of course, I'd never want her to come back on earth. Because then she would have had to deal with the same garbage she did before. And she's not doing that now. But I miss her. I see pictures of her. I hear videos. All these years I've spent around her, doing things together. We went on trips to Massachusetts from Maryland, and I'd talk on the phone with her at times. I would get messages on Messenger from her or regular messaging. I'd hear about her complaints about certain people, and I would try to encourage her. I know this happens with everyone. I know it's a process. But I look back at my videos before she passed, and her passing was never even a thought, and how things have changed after her passing. I had said in many other videos that it's hard to contemplate the rest of my life and never see her face again. But then I told my therapist that, I'm grieving, but I can't remain in that place of grief. I have to counter it with the fact that she's in heaven now and she's happy. She's with her mom and her dad, her uncles, her aunts, everyone. And I know one day I will see her as well as the rest of the family. I'll see my grandmother for the first time. I'll see my grandfather, probably both grandmother and grandfather. I'll see my great grandmother. I'll meet her as well as her husband. And I think that's what makes heaven really special, is seeing people you've never seen before and you know that they love you. And my mother is experiencing that right now. The joy of having her mother when she didn't have her for so long. Imagine adjusting to the fact that you don't have your parents anymore. You don't have the parent that you love. And the fact that she dealt with losing her mother and going year after year without seeing her again, then seeing her again. I can't imagine the joy. My mother, she was like a little girl, and I'm sure she was like a little girl when she saw her mom again. And I know she ran to her mother and embraced her and cried. But, I wanted to share this with you. I mean, it's not a teaching or anything. It's just, I guess, a progress video. But I think that's what it was, is the fact that everything happened so quickly and there wasn't time to breathe. Just being informed that she already had stage 4 cancer and then her decline happened rapidly. There was no time to prepare emotionally for it at all. And then losing her, I think that's what makes it so difficult to believe and to move on. But I have to move on. So I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you for taking the time to watch.